Hello everyone, Pallytum here. Welcome back to Diablo 4. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at my Frost Sorceress to show you what this playstyle is like, give you a little bit of info about how I built my character, and you can see whether or not this playstyle is for you. I will say I kind of struggled a little bit in the early levels with Frost, but once I really nailed all of this stuff down, I am just cruising through content now. I do have one legendary that is helping out our right click, our ice shards, and that is my most powerful ability. I'll show you what that legendary is in just a moment. I just picked a random dungeon. We can start clearing through it. As you can see here, if I freeze enemies, we pretty much just clear the screen without even expending any mana. I'll show you how to do that in this video as well. So our general play style is put up a barrier. While we have our barrier active, our right click becomes very strong. If we don't have access to our barrier, the next best course of action is to just freeze targets, and that also makes our right click very strong. And then if I ever want to deny enemies from chasing me, we have the blizzard that we can pop down. This will add chill over time to enemies, as well as our left click. Our left click does that as well. And if you chill an enemy enough, you can see they freeze after a little while. If they are frozen, oh, we have an elite here. If they are frozen, we deal way more damage to them. So you're getting the best of both worlds. You're getting a bunch of crowd control for free. You're going to be slowing enemies for free. But then you also get crazy burst damage for just doing the stuff that you would already be doing, which is pretty fun. So starting at the top, I have 2 points into Frost Bolt. This is something I invested way more into early on, but then actually respec'd a little bit as my mana problems got lesser and lesser. At the beginning of the game, I was basically out of mana all of the time, and it was really frustrating. One thing I kept to help out with that was Frostbolt generates 4 mana when hitting chilled or frozen enemies, so I can fill up this blue decanter significantly easier. Then if we move to our core skills, you can see I am heavily invested in a single ability. This is Ice Shards. I was originally using Frost Orb. It kind of has a set, I could show you actually because I leveled up. Frost Orb kind of has a set distance it travels and then explodes, and I found I was actually having a hard time aiming that. I did have some workarounds if you want to try to make this work, but for me, I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it at all. By the way, with your respecs, you can just right click and it removes a single talent point. You don't have to do refund all down here and pay that hefty penalty with gold. I say hefty, it's only 1,000 gold and I have 140k, so just something to keep in mind. So Ice Shards has a 15% chance to ricochet to other enemies. That is because we picked up the enhanced Ice Shards. And then if we have a barrier active, Ice Shards acts as if we are hitting frozen targets. If we are hitting frozen targets, we're going to deal 25% increased damage. So if I put up my ice barrier, which we'll get to in just a moment, you can see this lasts for a few seconds. Basically, that's also increasing my damage by 25% while it's making me tankier, which is such a crazy good combo. You can see ice armor right here. This is the barrier that we were just talking about. Putting more points into this would increase its duration, and I don't think that's a bad thing to do. But there are other ways to do that as well. Before we move on to the next tier, I also put points into Frost Nova. This was for a couple reasons. Frost Nova has the ability to make enemies vulnerable, and I actually leveled through this game with my girlfriend Holly on this character. She kept finding legendaries that made her deal more damage to vulnerable targets, and this was the easiest way that I could apply it. The cool thing about Frost Nova 2, let me give you an example. Let me find some enemies. It does actually have a hefty cooldown, but if you can find a bunch of enemies and lock them down inside of it, you can actually take 6 seconds off of the cooldown just for killing them. So you can see I can do this again in 5 seconds now. That's no big deal at all, when normally it's a 14-second cooldown. Now in the next tree, I will admit I did not spend any points in Conjuration. I just wasn't feeling it at all. I just continue to put points in these earlier skills so I could continue to progress to this tree. Now, I did put 1 point in Blizzard. Like I said, having this area of effect down helps me kite away from enemies, helps me stay alive. I don't have any teleport abilities. The only mobility I have is the evade roll to help keep myself away from things. My playstyle is very much a stand your ground, armor up, and kill whatever gets close to you. Even though I only have 1 point in Blizzard, I did heavily invest into Icy Veil, which increases the duration of our barriers, which is ice armor. So if I continue to pump this, which I think I will, it'll make the barrier last longer, give me more benefits to frozen targets, and overall just make my life easier. It's both a defensive and offensive choice. Now, one thing I'd really like to bring your attention to is the enchantments down here at the bottom of our available skills. This is something that supercharged our offensive capabilities, but I put it off for a really long time. I did this quest at level 19. I should have done this quest at level 5 when it first became available. You basically can select any ability you want to supercharge and you will get a different effect. I decided to go with our ice shards because ice shards automatically conjure and fly towards frozen enemies. That means I don't even have to expend my mana to get ice shards out on the map for free, killing enemies for me for free without me doing anything. And again, you'll notice a very common thread here. If enemies are frozen, that's a defensive gain for me, but we're also turning that into a way of being offensive at the exact same time. Look at those ice shards. I barely did anything. Now, I did not hit the beta level cap on my Sorceress just yet, and I have 2 hours and 45 minutes to finish these guides before the servers get shut down for this weekend. But I actually don't know if I would get deep freeze. I might just invest into permafrost down here to increase our damage even more. I kind of like our skills, and I think I would grab a bunch of passive bonuses anywhere I could along the tree. But that's the explanation. This has been such a fun build to level. Once I kind of got over the mana issues of the early game, it just streamlined like crazy. And again, a lot of my strategy was simply setting up Holly to deal as much damage as possible early on because she got all of that extra vulnerable damage. I just wanted a way of making enemies vulnerable, and then I started popping off like crazy soon after. So let's finish this dungeon. We just grabbed ourselves a nice artillery shrine. That's going to make things pretty easy for us here. As if we weren't strong enough already, the artillery shrine is just going to add even more projectiles to us. We do have an enemy elite here. He put up a dampening field, which is going to stop some of my projectiles from moving through. But with the artillery shrine, that doesn't even matter. We are going to have to kill one more bandit sentinel before this door opens, and we don't know where he is. You can see when Frost Nova goes off, I instantly explode with more damage right then and there. And those targets can't move, and they're vulnerable because of the upgrades that we picked up. Again, this is not me right-clicking at all. Those are all free ice shards. And let's not forget that Frost Nova is also giving us cooldown reduction for every frozen enemy that we kill, so we can get that much damage for free every 6 seconds. Now, this is me actually expending. We met another dampener here. He won't live. Even if he slows down my icicles, they're still going to penetrate through that wall. He has absolutely no hope. Once again, worth mentioning that I am playing on the hardest difficulty available in the beta, and we are making it look this easy. This is such a strong setup. Oh, I almost forgot. I promised you guys I would show you the legendaries that I have. Okay, let me take care of these enemies really fast. We'll just lay down a blizzard. I am kind of getting low on mana, but I do have... It doesn't even matter if I'm low on mana. The Frost Nova just solves everything.
I need time to prepare that.
Beautiful. This is actually a lot of elites all in one spot, and we were calm, cool, and composed. So what's helping me out here are these. The legendary effect makes our ice shards pierce 4 times, dealing 23% less damage per subsequent enemy hit. I also have a staff that I crafted with this same legendary effect that's giving 7 pierces, which is crazy good, obviously. I just kind of outgrew this weapon, but there is a way around that. I'm going to try to make another video about that before these servers go down. But this was really, really important for me. Basically, once I got this, I swapped over from the Frozen Orb to Ice Spear, and I just loved it. Another thing that's helping me out are these boots. I have a 20% increased crowd control duration, meaning my freezes last longer. And then we're also dealing 32% increased damage to unstoppable enemies. So this would be like bosses that I can't CC, bosses that I can't lock down. We just get a flat damage bonus from this item on top of that. Another really awesome item that I picked up. That is kind of the scariest part of this build, when you're fighting someone that can't be crowd controlled by your skills and they get to move around freely. That can be a little jarring. This dungeon has us killing these skeletal constructs after taking down a few of the high priority bandit targets. I had a lethal shrine. I wanted to get rid of that just to make sure that you knew all of this damage was coming from me. That's pretty ridiculous, right? That's pretty ridiculous. We're changing locales very quickly because I wanted to show what the build was like versus a boss, and my OBS crashed. I think a lot of the other important information is still there. Hopefully. We only have 2 hours. All right, here we go. The boss showcase. Now, because the boss is going to be immune to freeze, more than likely, we are really leaning on the increased damage that we're getting from this legendary effect. Without that, we'd be dealing 32% less damage. But even without that, we're going to be just fine. Like, we would be able to do this no problem. So because we can't freeze them, we actually start to save our Frost Nova specifically for ads. So as these guys come out, we simply Frost Nova and they get taken care of. Our main damage windows for bosses is going to be when our frost armor is available and when we're also sitting at full mana. So as these ads come out again, let's make sure we're avoiding as many of these boss effects as possible. We're really waiting 2 more seconds so we can deal increased damage to, quote, frozen targets, because while our barrier is active, everything we do counts as if we are attacking a frozen target. So we kind of have these waves where we need to regen, make sure we're getting our mana back up, but then in 3, 2, 1, I could probably even stay in that effect, to be honest with you. Because of the amount of barrier that we're getting, we're just cycling between offensive and defensive moments. So this is once again a defensive moment. We're waiting on this cooldown to come back, cutting away from abilities. We need to use our generator, make sure we have full mana when the time comes. And now we hunker down. Again, it doesn't even matter that I'm in this AoE. We're going to be able to absorb that, no problem. It's just such a reliable setup, no matter the content that you're doing, no matter the opponents that you're fighting, no matter if you can freeze them or not. With the way that we have built this character, I know I am always going to thrive. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please be sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you found this video helpful, there's going to be way more guides just like this once we can really sink our claws into this game. And I'm hoping to play just about every class under the sun once Diablo IV officially releases. I have to go tackle a few more videos before the servers get shut down, so I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you again next time.